Welcome to the Folktale Project. This is Dan Scholz. Today we begin another two-part tale, and this story is a story that features a surprise guest that we actually haven't seen in Legends of the Rhine thus far, the devil himself. This is The Building of the Minster, Part 1. As Charlemagne, the mighty ruler of the Franks, rode one day from his stronghold at Aix-la-Chapelle into the surrounding forest, his horse is said to have suddenly trodden upon a spring. On touching the water, the animal drew its foot back, neighing loudly as if in great pain. The rider's curiosity was aroused. He alighted, and dipping his hand into the spring, found to his surprise that the water was very hot. Thus Charlemagne, as the legend records, discovered the hot spring which was to become the salvation of many thousands of ill and infirm people. The pious emperor recognized in this health-giving spring the kind gift of Providence, and he resolved to erect near the spot a house of God, the round shape of which should remind posterity of the horse's hoof. The building was soon begun, and Charlemagne saw with great satisfaction the walls of the new minster rising high into the air. He was not, however, destined to see its completion. When he died, he had to leave the great empire of the West to a feeble son, Louis the Pious. The latter was compelled to draw his sword against his own children in order to assure for himself the crown he had inherited. Many a great undertaking that Charlemagne had begun remained unfinished. The building of the minster, too, was interrupted. The ground was left desolate, and the walls and towers were threatened with decay before they were finished. It was quite useless for the honorable magistrate of the town to apply for money to the charitable Christian inhabitants. Contributions came in very slowly, and were never sufficient to finish their church. The aldermen of Aix-la-Chapelle would very often seriously debate the question and discuss how they would remedy the grievous lack of money and successfully effect the completion of the minster. They found, however, that good counsel was just as rare as building material. Once, when they were thus met together, a stranger was announced who said he had most important news to communicate. He was allowed to enter the session-room. After having duly saluted the council, he said modestly but without any shyness, "Gentlemen, my business, in a word, is to offer you the money for the completion of the church." The worthy aldermen looked in wonder first at the speaker and then at each other. They silently agreed in the opinion that the man before them looked very suspicious in his quaint outlandish clothes and his sharp pointed beard. But the newcomer was not at all abashed by their suspicious looks. On the contrary, he repeated politely but firmly his proposal, saying, "Honorable sirs, I should like to help you out of your difficulty, and will advance you the necessary thousands without even wishing to be paid back." At this frank offer, their councillors pricked up their ears and opened their eyes wide in astonishment. Before they could recover from their amazement, the stranger continued, "I know well you are all far too proud to accept this great offer of mine without giving me a reward of some sort. Therefore I require a small compensation. I demand the first living being, body and soul, that enters the new minster on the inauguration day." On hearing this, the honorable aldermen rose horrified in their seats. Many of them made the sign of the cross or uttered a short prayer, because nobody but the devil himself could require anything so monstrous. The eyes of the chairman shot a reproachful glance at the strange speaker, and he muttered between his teeth, "Be off! Your words are giving offense." But Master Satan, the stranger, stood calmly in his place. "Sirs," said he, "let me answer you with a word from the Scriptures. Why are you so fearful, O ye of little faith? On the field of battle, the sword mows down thousands of brave men. They fall often as victims to the ravening ambition of a single man. You can even see fathers fighting against their sons, brothers against brothers, and nobody thinks it's unjust. Now you cry out when I only ask for one single living soul to be sacrificed for the welfare of the whole community." The eyes of the stranger looked round in triumphant joy when he had finished, for he read a favorable reply in the puzzled faces of the aldermen. Many of them at once gave up their scruples, and after a few minutes even the most cautious among them had no more objections to urge. The offer was closed with, and Master Satan left the town hall with a proud smile. The next day the council was again gathered together, anxiously waiting for the promised sum. It arrived promptly, rightly weighed, and in good honest coin. The joy of the aldermen was boundless. And that is the part 1 of the building of the Minster, a story where we see a number of aldermen in the city of Aix-la-Chapelle making a deal quite literally with the devil to continue building a house of God. Not quite the deal that one would expect from such holy men, is it? This is Dan Scholz for the Folktale Project. Don't forget that you can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, Overcast, anywhere you like to get your podcasts. You can follow us on Twitter at Folktale Project. You can find us on Auto Radio, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, Spotify, anywhere you'd like to listen. And you can always head over to folktaleproject.com, where you'll find a new story waiting for you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. As always, thank you so much for listening.